I'm gonna end this video by completely blunting this knife and then sharpening it back to a keen edge with no cuts. Just kidding, I've decided to make that a separate video and not make this video 40 minutes long, so subscribe and I'll release that video soon after this one. Feel free to come back to this section of the video when you've got all your tools ready and you are about to sharpen your blade and we can sharpen together. So let's see how dull I was able to get this thing. I think it's going to be quite dull, probably more than a kilogram. Oh, yeah, 1060 grams. So that is a very dull blade. You know, you can run your finger across it and you'll be fine. Starting off, I'm going to find my angle. I want about 15 degrees. Using this angle aid. All right, I found the point on my thumb, slightly above the midline where I want to hold it. And I'm going to start sharpening. I'm going to do this in sections to begin with. I'm putting a moderate amount of weight and force into it. I want to feel like the steel is getting cut, but I'm not, putting my entire body weight into it or anything. Just take a look at what I'm doing here. Yeah, I can feel the burr already there. Not so much here yet. Keep going. Move to the middle section for a while. Going back and forth. I'm cutting both when I'm moving forward and when I'm moving back. These diamond stones on the coarse side, they cut pretty aggressively, so you should be able to remove a lot of steel as you go. You should see some steel building up in the stone. That's fine. Don't clean it off with water. Water can cause the carbon steel bar itself to rust. So just use a paper towel, dry paper towel, wipe it off. You don't even really need to do that, but if you want to clean it, go ahead. You can also clean off the filings from the edge of the blade itself. So again, the apex should be on the opposite, or the burr should be on the opposite side of the blade as the side that I'm sharpening. I think I still have quite a while to go. I blunted it quite a bit on that oxide stone. There's not much curvature on this blade, but there's enough that I still need to use that belly technique a small amount near the point. This part of the video is going to take however long it takes, a much slower pace than the rest of the video. Let's take a look with this flashlight. Use that technique. Okay. Yeah, I'm seeing the burr along the first half of the blade. Still got more work to do. Nearer to the tip. I prefer to finish this part of the sharpening process with this back and forth motion. It helps to wipe off with a paper towel the edge, because that gets the filings off so that you can see the actual burr that's attached to the apex rather than just the filings that might be hanging on but that are actually loose and don't indicate a burr. This is a very cheap knife, by the way. I forget where I got it. I think I got it in college. It's just been in the back of kitchen drawer for quite a while. One reason I bought that Work Sharp pocket knife that I showed you earlier is because I wanted more high quality steel to see how much of a difference that would make to how sharp I could get an edge. And it does make a difference, especially in how long it keeps that edge, not just how sharp you can get it. But I thought I might carry that RMX Work Sharp pocket knife that I bought. But honestly, I still like carrying my Kershaw Junkyard Dog that I got like 15 years ago. I like the heft of that pocket knife. All right, we're almost there. Just a little bit more at the tip. And then once we completely apex on one side, we'll move over to the other side. Okay. All right. I think we're ready. So, like I said, I just move it to the other hand. Then we do the same process on the opposite side. It is fun, it is gratifying to do this all by hand. It does require more skill. I totally understand if you just want to buy a sharpener that does most of that work for you. But it is gratifying to get the skill to be able to do this just with a flat stone and your own two hands. My dad taught me sharpening when I was young, but he taught me what to do, the basics at least, but not a lot of the whys or what was actually happening at the blade's edge. That's why I really value the Outdoors 55 channel and all the macro photography and videography he does. Really demystifies that. When I first started doing this, my hands, especially my heel of my left hand, would get really sore, would start cramping. So watch out for that. So I'm looking for that burr now on the other side, and I'm mostly there, just a little bit, just need a little bit more right here. And if you can get there, get that apex on both sides, you've done most of the work. But then, of course, the deburring begins, which is what I'm going to be doing now. So alternating edge leading strokes. And since I was sharpening last on this side and created the burr on this side, right? Yeah. Then I can start with a few more using my right hand, since the burr is currently hanging over to that side. And then alternate. Still using a moderate amount of force while that burr is large like it is. Check in with how you're doing frequently using this flashlight test. This might be easier or harder, again, depending on the quality and hardness of the steel. I don't have a hardness tester. I don't know what the HRC value is on this steel, but I imagine it's low. It's probably like a 52. Hardness, of course, as you probably remember from middle school science class, is a measure of comparison. You know, can this thing scratch this other thing? Diamond is the hardest commonly known material, which is why the diamond stone, you don't have to worry about, is it hard enough? Now, my strokes are getting lighter now. As I work that burr back and forth, break off as much of it as possible. Should I make this part a separate video or just put it in the main video? I'm kind of worried. I don't want people to see that this whole video is like 40 minutes long and not watch it because of that. When Most of the content and value is in the first 10 or 15 minutes. I still see the burr near the heel and near the belly. Close now. Just a little bit of burr hanging on here near the heel. The flashlight really makes it a lot easier to tell what's happening with that burr. That's my preferred method. Remember to wipe so you're not just looking at the filings, you're looking at the actual burr. You don't need to remove it completely, but you want, and the more of it you can get rid of at this stage, the better off you're going to be. But working the finer side of the stone and the strop will also be helping you to deburr. All right, not perfect, but let's move over to the fine side. Again, I'm going to use some back and forth, pretty light pressure. You should be able to see with your naked eye the difference between the area of the bevel that has been polished with the finer side and the area that hasn't. It should start to take on more of a mirror-like shine. Flip over to the other side. Okay. Let's start with the edge leading alternating strokes again. starting with a moderate amount of pressure. And then after 5 or 10, with that moderate amount of pressure, gradually lightening the weight of your stroke. Until it's feather light. You can definitely buy strops online. That's the next step, is to strop. Or you can probably buy them at a local store. I decided to make my own. I wanted to use balsa wood, because I don't use leather. All right, let's inspect this. That's looking pretty good. Doing that slow like that, seeing if the blade catches it all, helps you catch any part of the edge that isn't perfect. Let's see. This is the real tough test. If it can slice a paper towel at all. Probably won't be able to. Okay. It'll do better at this after stropping. But that's decent. Let's check in with the best tester and see what we're at now. We started at 1060. I'm going to do this best test before stropping and after stropping to show you how much of a difference stropping can really make. Okay, the camera died. Here I am back again. All right, let's see what we're working with now. I decided I am going to make this into a separate video. I'm not going to include it at the end of the other one. .330. A lot better than 1060. Still not great. Let's see what stropping can do. I'm going to start with 1 micron. So holding it a little bit below the angle that I had before. I can move the blade like this along the strop, or I can move the strop, keeping that angle consistent. And then for stropping, because I'm holding the strop, I do tend to just flip the blade over in my same hand. Again, you could do a larger micron size, 4 or 6, but I found that starting with 1 micron is plenty large enough. You will see your strop start to collect steel. It's fine. Doesn't impact performance. I chose to use diamond compound instead of chromium oxide because chromium oxide can kind of gunk up as you use it, and it requires heat in order to stay melted and stay sharp with like the cutting material exposed to the knife's edge. Once again, diamonds, they're just simpler, they're just better. In between strops, of course, got to use a little rubbing alcohol and clean off that edge. I'm interested, I have not sharpened this knife yet. I've not sharpened it before in the past few weeks after learning all of this. So I'm interested to see how sharp on the best tester we can get this thing, because it is a really cheap knife. Now I'm on the 0.1 micron. Doing some alternating strokes, trying to maintain that same angle, keep the bevel flat on the strop, edge trailing strokes only, remember. All right, let's see what we're working with now. Whoops. And usually I would try to use the same point, like the same exact part of the blade to measure. I forgot to mark it this time. So I'm just going to go to the 5th dimple here, which is I think where I did it last time. You want to go very slow if you have one of these things. Very slowly increase the pressure so you get an accurate reading. And I made it worse. It's 600, so I don't know what I'm doing, and this whole video was a waste. What? This is ridiculous. It feels sharp. That's... It shaves. It's shaving sharp. But like a 600 on the best tester, what is happening? I don't get what's happening here. Let's try this again. I'm not even going to look at it until it's done. But I can feel still a lot of pressure. 745? It's shaving sharp. The hairs are just coming off. It's shaving sharp. But a 745 on the best scale. Well, I know nothing. Okay, I've cleaned off the blade. I have no idea what's happening. Let's do one more test here. This is ridiculous. This makes no sense. This makes no sense. 960. It's shaving sharp and it's measuring 960 on the best scale. What is happening? So much for an uncut video. It's a couple days later. The lighting is horrible here now. Whatever. I figured it out. Let's look at this thing on the best tester. I had to step away for a couple of days. My hypothesis, though, of what was going on came to me pretty quickly. Oh, 120. Heck yeah. I don't know if you can see that. Sunshine better or shade? 120. That's much better. Okay, so my hypothesis was that this soft steel, this cheap knife, was just not able to hold edge stability at that angle that I chose of 15 degrees. Instead of getting to that test filament, this is the knife, this is the filament, instead of getting there and cutting right through it, it would get there and the test filament was hard enough to bend over the edge, the apex of the knife at that point, and then require a lot of force to break through the filament. But now we got a sharp knife. I should have filmed it, but I didn't really want to. I was just kind of frustrated and wanted to figure it out. So it didn't take me long, but I went back, I reprofiled the edge at about 21 degrees. And it didn't take long at all to apex because I'd already apexed, and going from a lower angle to a higher angle, you don't have to work on it very long. If I was reprofiling from 20 degrees to 14 degrees or 15 degrees, that would have taken a lot longer, but it didn't take long at all to apex. I just went through the same steps as before, the deburring, and going to the finer side, and alternating strokes there, and then some stropping. But now we've got, oh damn, that's like the sharpest I've ever gotten actually. Maybe 20 degrees is a better angle than 15 degrees, because that is clean. That was very good. All right, shaving. Yep, I don't know if you can see that, but they're popping off very easily. I'm gonna run out of hair on this arm. Let's see, what other tests? Get some newspaper. Okay. There we go. Even with a very sharp knife, you got to get the right angle, like on the newspaper, which apparently I suck at right now. There we go. You get to see all the mistakes. I was trying to do two words there, like takes, that were, mistakes, and I made the word mistake. All right. There you have it. Go sharpen your knives. Leave a comment, leave a like if you learned something from me blundering through this process live. I wanted to show you one more thing, which is at that 21 degree angle where it was on my thumb, just so you know. It was, okay, where are we going here? it was very high up on the thumb, like that. You know, before I was just above the midline here, but at the 21-degree angle, it was very high up on the thumb. All right, now you can leave.